Uh, so, from my research, you've also been involved in constructing a hospital. Could you talk about that experience? Because I don't think a lot of people
Yeah.
have had that experience,
Yeah.
and I'd be really interested to know like what went on between when you were constructing a hospital, and what steps did you take to build a hospital? How much does it cost? Who do you get in contact with? And how long does it take? And I'm just interested to
Sure.
hear about that.
Sure. Well, early in my career, as I noted, I had the opportunity to work with one of the senior leaders on construction projects, primarily in the medical center here in Memphis with Baptist. And when I left and then was asked to come back, the primary area that I would be handling was dealing with some large scale construction projects that were being envisioned at that time. So I was brought back to start working on the planning and the construction of what is now the Baptist Women's and Pediatric Hospital. I subsequently built and worked with others, many others on my team, both within Baptist and outside of Baptist, the replacement hospital in Oxford, Mississippi, the replacement hospital in Jonesboro, Arkansas, the new hospital in Crittenden County, West Memphis. And if you ever get an opportunity to do that, I would encourage you. It is a wonderful opportunity to get involved with a broad range of people, everyone from physicians to staff and leaders within a hospital, clinical people, non-clinical people. You get involved with neighbors, the neighbor relations, especially with the women's hospital, was very, very important to make sure we were sensitive and worked with the neighbors. There's some very expensive homes adjacent to that property. And so we worked very diligently with the neighborhood associations to gain their support and approval, because you also have to go through a very lengthy approval process, both locally and at the state level. And so you also get involved with architects and planners, everything from equipment to long range plans and projections for the growth of the hospital. You work with interior designers. You work with community leaders. For instance, the Women's Hospital. Well, the CEO at the time, Miss Anita Vaughn, was a nurse by clinical training, and I had worked with her before. She got a group of women to meet with us, to share with us what's really important to women when they come to the hospital. And so many of their ideas, the architect, the design team wove into the design of that facility. Same thing on the pediatric edition that was done for that facility. And so when you get involved with construction, you get involved with some wonderful folks, but there's also some really important things you have to maintain. Obviously, you want to have a schedule and you want to make sure you achieve that schedule. That was extremely important on the hospital in Oxford, because there were financial penalties that Baptist would have been assessed if we did not get the hospital constructed and opened at a specific time. The other thing that you learn very quickly is the importance of adhering to a budget. It's a lot of money. Hospitals, anywhere from 350 million to 180 million to 400 million, to all those projects are very expensive. And so you learn how to track those expenses, to control those expenses, to make adjustments throughout the process if you have to reduce expenses. I would say to you as a student, many students in graduate programs, get involved in team projects. And construction and running, a big program like that involves a lot of teams. And so that's one reason you learn how to develop your abilities to work on teams. And so I would encourage you, again, throughout your time at University of Memphis and anyone else watching this, especially if you're a student, to learn and develop your skills in working with teams.
Mhm. And how long did the project take? And were you happy with how the hospital turned out in the end?
Yeah, the entire planning process can take somewhere, 24 months when you look at the planning and then the actual construction, when you look at both those together. So they can go 24, 27 months. The actual construction can be, 18 months or thereabout. There are things you can do to fast track a project to make it go even quicker. There's a lot of innovative things going on with architects and doing everything from 3D model to 3D graphics when you put on a face mask, and instead of just looking at a one-dimensional drawing, where a lot of times it's hard to imagine the size of a room when you just look at it on a blueprint. Well, now technology is such you can put on these goggles and you can actually virtually stand in the operating room or stand in the lobby or stand in the kitchen and look around and see how things are going to fit and flow, and actually walk down virtually down the hallways of the hospital. And that really helps us all on the design team, the physicians, the nurses, the technicians, the facility services people, the business office people, to relate to that, because all those people are involved. Your question was I pleased with the results? And I would say unequivocally yes. Every project that I worked on with Baptist, yeah, we had our challenges. We always had some speed bumps that hit during the project, but I think we worked through those, and the outcome was very positive. And that, again, you want to make sure you select team members who not only are good at what they're trained in, whether it be a civil engineer, the architect, the designer, but you also want them to be able to fit in and work with you and work with the culture of your organization. Many times those team members may have to tell you something you don't want to hear, and their ability to convey sometimes information that is not positive, but their ability to convey that to you to get you to make a decision is so very important. And so that ability to interface with the culture of the organization, I think, is critical. And we were very fortunate that we had excellent, excellent team members.